what you're seeing right now is actually a Godot project, and we have all the shaders from scratch ported over to the Godot shader engine, and I mean they look pretty accurate. We've got the color effect, we've got the what is this? Mosaic, Pixelate, Ghost effect, brightness, Fisheye, and Whirl. And yeah, so I'm going to be showing you how to make all of these, and I'll show you how to use the code to make them change and stuff. So yeah, so I am using the compatibility engine. I'm not sure if it matters what engine you use. So just let me know if there's any differences. Okay, so the first shader I'm going to start out is the simplest one, which is the brightness effect. So here's a little scratch example I have. So let's where is it? Okay, here. So here's all the effects. The brightness effect. Let's set it to 50, and then the cat grows brighter. It looks almost yellow. And if we set it to 100, it turns completely white, which is kind of hard to see on the white background. So if I were to make this like the purple, yeah, you can see it's just a white silhouette. Set the brightness to -100, it's a black silhouette. So yeah, it doesn't matter what the background is, it's going to just go like white and black. So the way you do that is by simply adding and subtracting the RGB. So that's why this is the simplest shader to make. So we go to Material, you click New Shader Material, and then you just open that up, and in the shader, you click New Shader. So I'm going to call this one Brightness Effect. So create that, and here we go. So we're going to be making, all of these are going to be fragment shaders, because it affects the color. So we can just get rid of all of this. So the first thing that we want to do is make a little a number that we can change the brightness effect with. So you type in uniform float amount and just set it to 0.0. So you can set it to whatever number you want. So first we want to get the current pixel. So we do that by saying vector4 color equals texture, and then we just get the texture in the UV. So it's okay if you don't know what this does. In fact, I barely know what it does, but basically it just gets the current pixel. So we can take the color of the pixel and we can add the amount to it. And of course, if it's a negative amount, it's going to go down. And then we just set the color to that. So you say color equals color. And now if I set the amount to 0.5, then the cat turns brighter. Now there seems to be a little issue with the borders, and if I take this outside, you can actually see there's like a white little box around it. So what we want to do is, instead of just adding the color, you want to get color.rgb. Oh wait, no, is that right? Yes, RGB. Okay, excuse me. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that fixes the border, and now it doesn't have that white background because it's ignoring the alpha. So in Scratch, it's on a scale from 0 to 100, and in Godot, it's on a scale from 0 to 1. So we can fix that by just dividing the amount by 100. And now we're done. So I set the brightness to 50. I can set the brightness to -50, -100. And yeah, so there's the brightness effect. Okay, so the next effect I want to do is the color effect. So this is just what it does. All it does is shift the hue. So I set the color effect at 25. The cat turns green. Set it to 50. And yeah, so every time I change the color, it just changes its hue. So, unfortunately, it's pretty difficult to do that because in order to do the hue shift, the way that you do it is you convert the RGB pixel to HSV, and then you convert it back. And converting the RGB to HSV is pretty complicated. But thankfully, Godot has a visual shader that comes with its own block that lets you convert the colors like that. So I'm going to use a visual shader for the color effect. So let's just I'm going to take a new cat. I'm going to give it a new shader. Just click new shader. Now you want to set the type to visual shader, and I'm going to call this color effect. Okay, so here's the visual shader. First, we want to get the input color, so just right click and then search up color. I'm pretty sure it's this. Yeah, so you take this input color, and now you want to convert it, so RGB to HSV. Okay, so just drag the color pin to that, and now we have a red green. Well, now we have like a vector 3 of the color in HSV form. So what we can do, we can take what is it called? Decompose, vector 3 decompose. So you take in the input of the HSV, and what we want to do is we want to add to the X value because that's the hue. So first, let me add an add block. Yeah, it's float. So you want to add in a float add. So you take in the X, and you want to add it by the amount that the user puts. So we're going to put in, I'm pretty sure it's called parameter. Yeah, take a float parameter. Okay. You can set the default value to 0. And let's just drag it into there. Okay, so now we want to compose vector 3. So vector 3 compose. Okay, so you want to take the new X value, plug that in, and then the Y and Z can stay the same. And now we want to convert HSV back to RGB. And then we can put that into the output color. Okay, so nothing changed, but here in the shader parameters, let's say, let me set this to 50. Let me set it to 20. Okay, it's not doing anything. Okay, so if you set it to 0.5, then it does something. Okay, so it looks like if you set it to any whole number, then it won't look like it did anything. So we want to change this parameter a bit. So first I want to call it amount. So just change the name of it. And now you want to add a divide. So you want to use float division. So for the first one, you take in the parameter. And for the second one, I think it's 200. So now you've to divide the user's input by 200. So plug that in. And now I'm pretty sure we're done. So set the amount to 25, and the cat turns green, just like it does in Scratch when I set the color effect to 25. Yeah, there we go. And set the amount to 75. It turns cyan. And yep. And it also works with negative numbers. So set the amount to -50, it turns pink, and it does the same thing in Scratch. So we're done here, and you may notice that the white part of Scratch like also changes color a little bit, and I'm not sure what's up with that. Anyways, now it's time to move on to the next effect. Okay, so here is the mosaic effect. So where is it? Mosaic. So set the mosaic effect to 50, and yeah, there's a lot of cats there. So yeah, this is an easy way to clone a sprite many times in the same spot for some reason. Yeah, sure. Just clone Scratch over and over again. So let's create that in Godot. So this one's not going to be a visual shader. So make sure this doesn't say visual shader. Make it say shader. We're going to call it Mosaic Effect. Alright. So I'm pretty sure earlier I said they're all going to be a fragment, but actually this one is a vertex function. And the way we make a grid of the sprite is we just take the UV and multiply it. So first let me make the amount. So uniform float amount equals 0.0. And now you just take the UV and set it to the UV times vector2 amount. Okay. So the cat disappears, but if I open up the shader parameters, set the amount to like 2, then this happens. So instead of the texture repeating, it's actually just like stretching out. So you want to open the texture tab on the sprite and set the repeat to enabled. Okay, there we go. So now there's 4 cats. If I set this number to 3, now there's 3 cats per row and column. Set it to 4, and so on. Now we have to change this amount to match how it behaves in Scratch. So let's see. This is actually really weird, okay? I have no clue why they made it like this. Okay, this is weird. So mosaic effect of 0 does nothing, of course. So if you set it to 1, it also does nothing. Set it to 2, it also does nothing. So it's actually, once you set the mosaic effect to 5, then it splits into 2 rows and columns. Okay? Now guess what happens when you set it to 10? Nothing happens. It's actually, once you go to 15, then it splits into 3 rows and columns. And then it's 25, and then 35, and so on. So yeah, I don't know why it's like that, but I mean, sure. Let's just fix this up. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to make it so it's not affected if the amount is at 0. And we can do this with a simple if statement. So you just say if amount is not equal to 0.0, and now I'm just going to copy this, delete it, and I'm just going to paste it inside of that if statement. Okay, so now setting the amount to 0 does nothing. And now we want to change the amount to match how it would in Scratch. So what I have to do is create a variable. So new amount, just set it to amount for now, and copy this new amount variable and plug it into there. Okay, so first thing you want to add is you want to add 5 to the amount. You want to put that in parentheses and then divide it by 10. Okay, so if I set the amount to 1, yeah, you can see it's messed up a little bit. So we can just truncate this using the truncate function. So just put the whole thing in there. And yeah, so 0, if I set it to 1, it disappears. Oh boy, this is still pretty messed up. So you want to add 1 to the whole thing. So put this in parentheses and then add 1 to this. Okay, so now if I set it to 1, then nothing happens. 2, nothing. But then once I reach 5, then it splits into 2. And once I reach 10, nothing happens. Once I reach 15, then it splits into 3, 25, 35. Okay, so it looks like we actually got it working. Just one final thing. we want to get the absolute value of the amount. There. So I'm sorry if that was pretty complicated, but if you just type it out exactly as it is here, then it should work. So negative values work now. Now, before we get into the complicated stuff, let me show you a very simple one. It's even more simpler than the brightness effect, as a matter of fact. So this is the ghost effect. Let me just remove the shader real quick. So the way you make a ghost effect is actually you don't need to make it. It is not a shader because you go to the visibility tab, you click on modulate, and you see this alpha slider. If you change this, then there you go. That's the ghost effect right there. So yeah, you don't need to make a shader for this. Now, in Scratch, the ghost effect is on a range from 0 to 100, like that. And you may notice that here is in a range from 0 to 255. I'll get into that later at the end of the video when we get to programming these shaders. But yeah, just keep that in mind. There's the ghost effect. So now it's time to do our first complicated one, which is the pixelate effect. Like I said, I'm really not good at shaders, and I couldn't figure out how to make a pixelate effect. So anyways, let's just create the shader real quick. So click on new shader. Yep. Call this pixelate effect. Click create. Okay. So I'm going to start by just deleting everything here because actually I have hired copy and paste to do the job for me. Alright, so here is a nice website called Godot Shaders. So I just search up Pixelate, and I'm pretty sure it's this one right here. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so just copy this. This is thanks to a person named Pabby. So yeah, thank you, Pabby, for that. Now I'm going to steal it. Use it here. Okay, so right off the bat, you can see it's already working, kinda. So, the pixel. Okay. First of all, I will. You can see it set up like this, where you can change the pixel X and Y. So I want to get it so it's just one input. So I'm going to replace this with the amount again. Uniform float amount equals 0.0. Okay. And now I'm going to create a vector2 based on that. So vector2 pixel size equals vector2 amount. And now I'm going to go down and fix this. So the x pixel size is actually pixel size.x. And then this would be pixel size.y. Okay, now go down here and fix this. Pixel size.x, pixel size.y. Okay, so there seems to be an error. You can't use modulus on a float. So instead, I'm going to convert this into a mod function. So remove all of that, and instead just put mod texture uv dot x, and then put a comma, and then put pixel size dot x. And now just copy this and do the same thing for the y, except just change this to y. And now, okay, so something happened. The cat is invisible now, but he can't hide from us. So set it to 1, and there he is again. Set it to 50, and yeah, it gets pretty pixelated. You may notice there's some borders around the pixels. We don't want that. So what we want to do is change this texture to texture LOD, and we have to put an extra argument at the end. Just put 0.0. Okay, and now those borders are gone. The last thing to do is to fix this up so the amount works similar to how it does in Scratch. So the first thing I'm going to do is do another if statement for when it's 0. So say if amount is not equal to 0.0, then, okay, just put an opening bracket there, and then at the end, I'll put a closing bracket, and I'll highlight all of this and press tab. Alright, and now, this took me a while to figure out, but yeah, I basically just played around with it for a while in order to find a number that fit well. But I'm gonna you want to divide the amount by a certain number. So say float new amount equals amount divided by 3.338. All right, you can thank me for that number. Okay, and calculate the pixel size using the new amount. And I'm pretty sure we're done. So this isn't exactly how it is in Scratch, but it's very similar, and I'll show you how similar it is. So where is it? Pixelate. Okay, set the pixelate effect to 50, and the cat turns out like that. Okay, so do the same here. Set the pixelate effect to 50, and wouldn't you know, it looks very similar to how it does in Scratch. There's a few differences, but yeah, it looks pretty dang similar to it. Now if I set the pixelate effect to 100, that happens. So set the pixelate effect to 100, and yeah, once again, it looks pretty much identical to how it does in Scratch. Set the pixelate effect to 500. Okay, maybe not that much. 300. Yeah, it just turns into this 3 pixels literally. Okay, set it to 300, and yep, the same thing happens here. And it even works with decimal numbers, and yeah, basically, yeah, you probably get the point by now. It also works with negative numbers, like -50, that works, -50, yep. Okay, so yeah, you get the point. It's pretty much identical to how it is in Scratch, so there we go. Pixelate effect, yay! And it's all thanks to someone else and not me. So now it's time for the two final bosses, which is the Whirl effect and the Fisheye effect. So first I'm going to do the Fisheye effect. Okay, so create a new shader. I'm just going to call it Fisheye effect. Create. Okay, so it's going to be a fragment, so delete these. So I took forever trying to figure this one out, and I literally couldn't. I tried everything. So what I did was that I went to... Now this is actually the source code for Scratch, and this is how the effects are done. And what is this? I don't know what this is, but it is similar to Godot's shader engine. So that's perfect. So we can just copy this and paste it straight into Godot. So by doing that, we're literally copying and pasting the Scratch effect into Godot, and I think that's pretty funny. I'm pretty sure this is free to take, by the way. It's open source. You should see this thing that says enable fisheye. So just copy this here and paste it right into Godot. Okay, so there's going to be some errors. It's not going to work right away. First thing I want to do is put in my amount. So once again, here we go. Repeat after me. Uniform float amount equals 0.0 semicolon. Okay, and okay, it's not going to appear yet because there's some errors. Okay, so these two variables, text chord 0 and kcenter, are variables, so we have to define them. If we scroll up a bit, we can see kcenter is just simply a vector 2 of 0.5, and if we keep scrolling up, we should see, where is it, text chord 0? Yeah. Text chord 0 is being set to v text chord, and v text chord is basically just can just be translated as uv. So say text chord 0 equals UV, and say K center equals vector 2 0.5. Okay, I forgot to do the types. Okay, this is a vector 2. This is a vector 2. Okay, so there's another error, which is U fisheye. So this is actually just the amount, and we're free. So let's see what it does. So if I set the amount to 50, ooh, nothing happens. Yeah, as you can see, we're not actually setting the color. You have to set the color in order for it to do anything. So in Scratch, let's just see where it's doing that. Scrolling through this messy code. I'm just kidding, it's fine. Okay, the fisheye effect is right here. Okay, and right after that, here, we can see what looks like them setting the color. So we're saying GL frag color equals whatever this is. Okay, so copy that and paste it here. Alright, so let's figure this out. This can just be translated as color, and the skin, this is just the texture. I'm pretty sure it's in all caps. And this texture 2D function is just called the texture function. Okay, wow. Okay, so something certainly happened. Let me set the amount to 1, and it goes back to normal. Set the amount to 2, here, that happens. Set it to 50, and wow, he turned into a black hole. So obviously we're going to have to fix the amount a little bit using our trusty new amount variable. So say float new amount equals amount. Okay, and now take the new amount variable and plug it in right here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is add the amount by 1. So it's by default it's doing nothing. So now it's on a range of -1 to 1. So basically now all we have to do is just simply divide this by 100. And it should work. So set it to 50, he turns goofy. Set it to 100, he turns goofier. And yeah, it's pretty much, once again, it's pretty much identical to how it is in Scratch. 300, yep. 300, yep. And of course, the negative values, oh boy, the negative values is silly. So set it to -50. Yeah, look at that. He turns, like, shrinks in a little bit like that. Set it to -100, and yeah, the black hole from earlier has caused Scratch to collapse in on himself. Yeah, it's not a good day. But anyways, yes, we got the fisheye effect working. And now it's time for the whirl effect. Okay, new shader, call this whirl effect. Okay, and this is also going to be a fragment. So we can just do the same thing, just copy it straight from Scratch's source code. Okay, so take that and paste it right into there. It's easy. Press Shift and Tab to bring it back. Okay, now let's create our amount. So repeat after me. Uniform float amount equals 0.0 semicolon. Alright, so this one also uses those text chord and K center variables. I can just copy this right from the fisheye effect. So the U whirl is the amount. So we should see the errors go away. Oh, okay. So this matrix works differently in Godot than it does in whatever thing that was. What is it called? It's like, I don't know what it's called, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So we actually want two vector 2 values. So vector 2 cos whirl and then negative sine of whirl. And then you just put vector 2 sine whirl and coast whirl. And now we should see the errors go away. Yep. And now we want to copy that little color thing at the end. So just copy that and place it here. All right. So let's change this amount variable. Where did it go? Okay, there it is. Set it to 50. Wow, okay, yep, it's certainly working. Let's see, set it to 0.5, and then it turns forward a little bit. So I'm pretty sure it was on a scale of 0 to 1 again. So if I set this to 50, oh, it goes backwards. But if I set it to negative 50, then yeah, that's where it is. The new amount, this one's simple. It's just negative amount divided by 50. Okay, now take the new amount and put it there. And we're done. So here's the whirl effect. Set it to 50. Yep, that happens. Set it to 50. That happens. Set it to negative 50. Ooh, here's the silly whirl effect that everyone loves. Okay, set it to a million and whoa. Okay, this is some body horror. What is this? 100,000? What happens if I do that in Scratch? Oh, yep. Yeah, look at that. That is crazy. Okay, I've actually never seen that before. Whoa, I'm just entering Scratch right now. Okay, that's a little, maybe you should tone it down a little. 500, yeah. Set whirl effect to 500. Yeah. Well, we don't need Scratch anymore because we're finished with all the shaders. Yay! Okay, so as promised, I'm going to show you how to change these shaders using code. So click on, which one should I do first? The color effect. So attach a new script to it. We can just call this effect. All right. So I'm going to make it change its effect every frame. So I'm going to do that inside of the process function. So the way that we set the shader parameter is we say material.set shader. Oh, make sure that's a lowercase s. Set shader parameter amount, and let's just set it to, I don't know, 50. So hit play, select current. Come on. Load. Okay, yeah. You can see the color effect has been applied with a value of 50. Let me just set this to canvas items real quick. Okay, so I'm going to make this change every frame. Create a variable called effect. It's going to be a float and set it to 0. Yeah, it's really tricky to switch languages like this. What is it? Okay, effect plus equals 60 times delta. And now we can set the parameter to effect. Hit play, and yep, you can see it's shifting its hue every frame. So yeah, there's like the color effect going up. And just to be safe, I'm going to mod the effect by 200. So effect equals fmod effect 200. And basically, if you're wondering why I didn't just do the modulus symbol like that, it's because for some reason Godot strictly prohibits you from using modulus division on floats. So that's why you have to use fmod, which stands for float mod. Anyways, yeah, it works the exact same now. You're not going to notice any difference, but basically what that does is that it makes it loop around from, if it goes past 200, then it will loop back to 0 by the amount it went over. So it's not going to change it at all, but it's going to prevent any overflows. Okay, so I can apply this effect to most of them. So Mosaic effect, I can just click attach script, and I'm just going to choose effect, hit load, and then if I hit play, then yeah, the Mosaic effect is working now. And yeah, you can see it loops back around. Okay, so I'm going to do that for the Pixelate effect. Just load this into it. The Fisheye effect, do the same thing. And the Whirl effect. Alright, so hit play. And yeah, look at them go. The Whirl effect, I think it looks better if I make it go the other way. So create a new script for the Whirl effect. Just copy this and paste it, and then just put negative effect. Okay, so now the Whirl effect is going the other way, which I think looks better because it looks sillier. It looks so much more funnier. Look at that. Look at that face. I just gotta zoom in on that face right there. Okay, now for the brightness effect, I'm just going to attach its own script. So paste this here. So the brightness effect, instead of a range from 0 to 200, is a range of negative 100 to 100. So I want to take the effect and subtract it by 100.0. And now there's the brightness effect going. Okay, now the last one is the ghost effect, which is going to be pretty unique. So before I talked about how the ghost effect was on a range of 0 to 255. Now, for whatever reason, when you're changing the alpha using code is on a range from 0 to 1. So I don't get that, but whatever. Okay, so we can remove this line that sets the shader parameter, and instead we're going to say modulate.a equals effect. Of course, this isn't going to work, so first things first, I want to divide the effect by 100, and I'm going to mod it by 100. So hit play, and yep, you can see it's pretty transparent there. It's going twice as fast as the other ones, so I want to set this to 30. And okay, now it's going nice and slow. But I also want it to go backwards. So instead I'm going to do 1.0 minus the effect. And yeah. So now it's getting more transparent over time, which is like in Scratch. Let me bring in Scratch. When you set the ghost effect to a higher number, it gets more transparent. But in Godot, when you set it to a higher number, it gets less transparent. So just keep that in mind. So yeah. Also, there's a floating pixel above the mosaic effect, so that's pretty annoying, but I can also go ahead and change the texture of all these to something else. And then you can see this effect being applied to other textures. Yeah, it looks pretty goofy with the Godot icon, especially this one. Like, look at that. Or I could use this picture of a house. Let me just spread these apart a little bit. Wow. Actually, let me make them a little smaller. Select them all. Set their scale to like 0.3. Okay, that's better. Yeah, look at these houses. Yeah, look at that. Look at how the effect applies to all of these. The fisheye effect seems to be widened a little bit. Is it? I can't really tell. Set the amount to like, yeah, it's like an oval shape. I'm not sure if it does that in Scratch, but just make sure it's a square or whatever. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope I helped you.